Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jürgen, not just for that talk, but also for your inspiring leadership of yesterday's conference. I've got a tough act to follow, and it strikes me that I'm rather less famous than Jürgen. In fact, I'm rather less famous even in my own company than Jürgen. Here's the front cover of the Manufacturer magazine, which came out a couple of days ago. The happy, smiling face of Jürgen Meyer, apparently Chief Executive Officer of Siemens UK. Who knew that? So I thought it was perhaps, let me just say a few words about myself just to explain what we're doing here. So Steven Barr, I lead Hennik Edge, which is the manufacturer's networked expert advisory team. Yet another big mouthful, a bit like digitalizing manufacturing. And I think one of the great things we need to learn from Jürgen and his team yesterday is keeping it simple. Perhaps we'll come back in 2018 to the Made Smarter conference. Wouldn't that be great? Let's not have quite so many large words that are difficult to say. But at least the Hennik Edge approach is simple. We're not a consultancy in the traditional sense. What we do is to coach decision makers in manufacturing companies. So we're helping them to make the right decisions about their way forward, the right decisions at the right time. And we do that by leveraging the huge network of the manufacturer organization. So roughly 30,000 people subscribe to the magazine, come along to our events. What we're trying to do is help them to connect. Connecting manufacturers, technology companies, customers, suppliers, people who would be research and development partners. We're trying to help the industry really to get its arms around the latest challenges, the new challenges. And of course, digitalizing manufacturing, as we've heard from yesterday, is going to be a really important part of that. So we see the manufacturer playing a small but significant role in that. And in fact, every one of us has a role in making that a reality. So whereas yesterday's really interesting talks and discussions were really about the why of digitalization in manufacturing, I think today we're going to focus far more on how, practical discussions from people starting off in the morning, people with really good understanding, really good personal expertise, personal understanding of what it takes to make progress with all of those key elements that we talked about yesterday, around skills, around technology, around all of the things that are going to be necessary. And one of the key points I thought that came out of yesterday was almost right at the end. So Jürgen made the comment, slightly off the cuff comment, about really starting the journey from where we are now. There is an enormous challenge ahead of us to make digitalization a reality in manufacturing companies. We know it's really important, but there's a very challenging journey. Who knows how long it's going to take, but that's really for the likes of us to make the difference. We could make it not swift, but certainly as quick as it can possibly be, or we could just let it drift, in which case we can only lose. We will lose that competitive edge, we will lose that opportunity to be more productive, lose that opportunity to make a difference in the UK economy. So to help us with the how, we've got a series of workshops this afternoon. MTC has brought together a number of real experts in the practical implementation of I4 technologies. So as before, we're going to have sets of 3 speakers, each with an opportunity then for question and answers at the end of that session. But really, it's gearing up for this afternoon's interactive workshops, which will be led on 5 different themes, and we'll be saying more about that as the day progresses. So what I'd like to do is introduce those speakers for this morning's session one by one. So we've got, I think, roughly an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. So depending on how efficiently we run our sessions, we may have some time for question and answers. You'll then have coffee, then we'll be back for another session, and hopefully gearing us up for a really powerful afternoon. So without further ado, let me introduce Lars Nagel. So Lars is the Managing Director at the Industrial Data Space Association. He's going to talk to us about cybersecurity and data sovereignty, a key factor in the take-up of digital technology. It's inspiring manufacturers to see the potential for digital technologies. And cybersecurity, I know from my experience talking to small organizations, is a key factor. People are really quite concerned about the sharing of data. So Lars is going to show us some practical case studies that have come from Germany's initiative, bringing together industry and government. So over to you, Lars. Tell us more about that.